Hey guys, yeah, I wanted to come on here and basically do somewhat of a Sunday evening topics on my mind real quickly, just to kind of get off my chest here on the outside of my house. So with that said, let's talk about a variety of topics, shall we? And I think you might be interested in what I have to say about some of them. That was some cats fighting and all that, but I'm about to give you my thoughts on a few topics that have been going around. Okay, so the first topic I want to talk about on this Sunday evening has to do with a certain pandemic going on right now, a certain virus, and basically how a lot of things are reopening as we speak, but now are suddenly being considered to be reclosed again. And here's the thing. It's kind of weird that all of a sudden you have certain politicians, mostly a certain Republican president, running for a re-election, getting ready to go back on the campaign trail, and all of a sudden out of nowhere there's this huge spike, if you will. There's this huge, tremendous spike in cases of this virus, of this pandemic. And I'm not trying to say none of that's true or anything, but it's kind of weird that all of a sudden we're getting a spike, a resurgence of viruses and hospitalizations as a result. And depending on how you feel about it, a lot of people have come out actually. And when you look on Facebook and this gets reported, you look on Twitter and this gets reported, all across social media, this gets reported as something to be taken seriously, and it is. Don't get me wrong. Just checking something there. But like I said, don't get me wrong, it is something to be taken seriously. When you have a lot of those reports coming out on social media at these various sites, and some of the reactions via emojis are, rolling eyes, laughing, stuff like that, it's because basically a lot of the folks that do that pretty much feel the same way that many others do. That isn't it a coincidence that all of a sudden President Trump decides he's going to go on the campaign trail. He's going to start campaigning in places like Jacksonville and Oklahoma and Houston and all that. And suddenly we got a spike. Suddenly we got these spikes in viruses. Suddenly the cases have gone back up. And a lot of people pretty much look at that, and the reason they give these reactions through emojis and everything is because they pretty much feel that what's being reported, yes, partially is true, but the rest of it is bull. In other words, there's a lot of BS. That yes, part of it's true, part of it's BS. And the reason they feel that part of it's BS is because even though media outlets and other sources are talking about, I should say, the rise, if you will, the rise of, cases around the country or in certain states around the country, they're not talking about the other rise of recoveries, the other rise of people becoming immune. None of that's being taken into consideration. It's just about, the cases we got new resurgence of cases, And here's why people, again, don't take it seriously. I mean, they do take it seriously, don't get me wrong, but here's why they partially take it seriously. It's because deep down, and I kind of agree with them, is if you don't like Trump being in office, you don't want him campaigning for re-election, then why don't you just come out and say it? Why don't you be truthful for once and say, the reason we're saying there's a resurgence of virus cases and hospitalizations over the resurgence of recoveries and immunizations. The reason we're saying that is because we don't want Trump in office. We don't want him becoming president again. It's like, to a lot of people that, again, look at this as being partially true, but mostly BS. To a lot of them, it's like, why doesn't the media, why doesn't some of the sources like doctors, scientists, politicians come out and say, oh, the reason we're reporting an increase in cases is we just don't want Trump campaigning and becoming president again because we don't need another 4 years of that. It's like, why? That's why people react the way they do. Yes, they understand it's a serious issue. Don't get me wrong. And a lot of people are saying that if people want protesting in the thousands, if not the billions, as well as rioting and looting over the past week or so, or past few weeks, then maybe these resurgences wouldn't be happening. But even with that, they feel that the numbers are being exaggerated because of the fact that nobody wants Trump to be running for office again. They don't want him being reelected. So they're going to come up with any way to make sure that campaign doesn't occur. But here's the problem. You want to look at numbers. There's a number of people that don't believe the BS that comes out of some of the news outlets, that believe some of the BS that comes out of some of these politicians and, you know, scientists and all that, that suddenly have decided, oh, we got some new cases that just developed and new hospitalizations because of that, and we need to we might have to reconsider reclosing stuff and everything. Again, it's like, if you don't want Trump in office, then suck it up and say it. Just say, oh, we're just saying this because even though partially it is true that there is a bit of a resurgence, we just don't want Trump campaigning. Just say it. Don't be afraid not to say it. Just come out and say it. And I think that's why we're suddenly hearing about a resurgence in virus cases and all that, over the evenly, if not more, resurgence of recoveries and immunizations and all that. So to me, I have to agree that even though partially it is true, and it partially has to do maybe with the protests and the riotings and all that, that the rest is nothing more than exaggerated BS. And if they don't want Trump or certain people in office, then they need to suck it up and just admit it. That's all. But that's all I'm going to say for the first topic. Now, on to our second one. So the second topic has to deal with something that I've had some people ask me to talk about, and I've seen others talk about, like Clownfish TV has talked about it. Clownfish TV, which is hosted by Neon and Geeky Sparkles. Check them out. As well as I have heard others talk about this. Heck, a lot of the news outlets are talking about it. And that is the fact that Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam, and mostly the Looney Tunes themselves, will no longer be using guns. And this has sparked a lot of controversy and a lot of backlash, because Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam have been known to carry guns every time they encounter the likes of Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, and so on. So now, basically, that's all going to change. And why is it going to change? Because of what's been going on lately in the world. It's a political move. Basically, Warner Brothers believes by ixnaying the guns from the Looney Tunes ammunition, if you will, that basically, long story short, that's going to pretty much help in a major way. Just checking something, you guys. Well, like I said, it's going to help in a major way. And here's my thoughts on it. Here's my thoughts. I don't hate it either way. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. I understand why it has to be done. You know, it may not be a popular decision on behalf of Warner Brothers for anybody else. And again, it may not be a very popular decision. I get that. I'm totally understanding of that. It's not very popular among anybody. I mean, longtime fans of Looney Tunes You know, feel that characters like Elmer, Fudd, and Yosemite Sam, you know, are just not themselves without their iconic weaponry, and I get that. But, you know, it is what it is. It's just the way the world is changing. I mean, we all know that sometimes iconic things change. I mean, you take a look at various animation and characters and all that, and there are some things about them that suddenly just disappear and get replaced by something else. And what disappears has always been iconic with them for the whole careers. And it's like, why all of a sudden now are you deciding to take away what made them iconic and just say, okay, instead we're going to have them use a pitchfork, or we're going to have them use basically we're going to have them use the axe handle of the Grim Reaper or something like that. You know, why change it over? And again, it's a very understanding situation. I get that. I really do get that. But in the end, when one thinks about it, it's just the way things are. I mean, do I like the fact that certain episodes are still banned on Disney Plus from iconic Disney afternoon shows? No. I mean, there's a lot of fans of Darkwing Duck that feel Darkwing Duck is not complete without the episode Hot Spells, but it's not there because of reasons. You know, for a while, episodes like Fall Apart Bomb Squad, New Partners on the Block, and even Witness to the Prosecution, all three Bonker episodes, they were gone until Disney Plus re-aired the series, and they're back on there. You know, that's the thing. They aired the series, and now, you know, they're back on there. The same with the Tailspin episode. I can't think of it right now, but it also has to do with a bomb threat as well. The point is you have these episodes out of these iconic Disney afternoon shows, and they were removed for a time. Even Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers had a Lien on the Property removed for some odd reason. Well, I would guess it mostly had to do with 9/11, but you get the idea. The thing is sometimes things happen and they're done for political reasons. And I can only believe that down the line, you know, change will come. That I feel what's going to happen is Sam and Elmer are going to get the iconic weaponry back, the guns, if you will, but they might be modified. That instead of shooting bullets, they'll shoot little darts, like little sleep darts, and boing, and then that's it. Or whatever, paintballs, whatever. They're going to modify it in a sense to where, you know it's supposed to be something, it's supposed to be something else, but it's changed because of reasons. But do I agree with it? Not really, but it is what it is. There's not really much you can do. So, with that said though, you know, it seems that for the time being, Elmer and Yosemite Sam and mostly the Looney Tunes that are used to using weaponry like guns in the past are not going to be using them for a while. And anytime you watch a classic Looney Tunes show on Boomerang or HBOMax or wherever, be prepared to get some kind of warning of this was done during a certain time and we don't condone it kind of message or something. Be prepared for something like that. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say for this second topic. Let's get on to the third. Alright, speaking of Looney Tunes, our third topic is one that I didn't think I was going to talk about, but you know, I asked basically at Facebook, on someone I'm friends with on Facebook, who's working on a game right now called Flare something, Solo Flare. I'll provide the name, probably the link down below. You can check it. If I get the link, I'll provide it down below. But he's a fan of Looney Tunes and Tex Avery and all that. So his character, Flare, I think that's her name, solar flare or something like that, is based off that design. But anyway, getting back on topic, I recently asked because they were talking about the new Looney Tunes show and how the new Looney Tune cartoons on HBOMax, and how they were pretty good. And I asked if there was any, melting in it, because I'm a fan of the gag. And he said, oh yeah, there's melting in several of the episodes. And when I asked, which ones, he hasn't answered yet, but that's cool, that's all right, give him time. But when I was looking it up, it came up on YouTube and Google. It came up with the new Looney Tunes show, as well as the new Looney Tune cartoons, or just the new Looney Tunes. The new Looney Tunes, which basically was evolved from Wabbit, which was a Bugs Bunny show, a new Bugs Bunny show. So the new Looney Tunes was a show that was a successor to Wabbit, and it featured not just Bugs, but featured everybody from Daffy, Porky, Tweety, Yosemite Sam, Elmer, I think Roadrunner, Wile-E, you name it. And surprisingly, it also showcased Lola. Yeah, Lola Bunny was in this. And surprisingly, Lola here is voiced by Kat Sushi, the original voice of her in Space Jam. And from what I was able to look up, this version of Lola is a hybrid of what we got in the Looney Tunes show and Rabbit's Run, which was a Looney Tunes show movie, and her Space Jam personality. So it's basically like a hybrid of both. And you can tell it's Kat Sushi voicing her, because she's using that kind of vocal tone that you're used to seeing or used to hearing out of the likes of characters from Rugrats or characters from 101 Dalmatians like Rolly and Cat Pig. So you're used to hearing that, and you can definitely tell that she's applying that into this new version of Lola, and it's basically, you could tell, like a hybrid of her. And this Lola is actually kind of fun. I like this hybrid version, I'll give you that. But speaking of Lola, the question that I have is, since she appeared in the new Looney Tune cartoons, which was the successor of Rabbit on Boomerang and Cartoon Network, the question is she going to show up in the new Looney Tunes cartoons on HBOMax? I know they only have a few episodes listed right now, just like 10 episodes listed right now, and there's more to come. So the question is, will she be focused on in some of those? I would have to say yes. I'd have to say most definitely she will be focused on in the future. She will be focused on in the future, down the line. But the question is, when will that happen? Well, I think with Space Jam 2, A New Legacy, set to be in theaters by next year, we're believing it will be. Basically, and with the expectation that you have to have not just Bugs and Daffy and all of them in there like in the original, but you also have to have Lola and maybe Penelope Pussycat. The question's going to be, are we going to get any cartoons based, focused on Lola and maybe even Penelope, but mostly on Lola? Are we going to get those cartoons? Are we going to get cartoons with Lola Bunny in the new Looney Tunes cartoons on HBOMax? Are we going to get those, or are we just going to have to wait for the new Space Jam, the new Space Jam to basically, see her on the big screen again? And that's going to be the question. What version of Lola are we going to get? Are we going to get the Lola we got in Space Jam, which kind of hinted at the end that she might be a lot more loonier than expected? And I guess they kind of capitalized on that with with the new Looney Tunes show, and then the new Looney Tunes, if you will. Are we gonna get this? Are we gonna get that Lola, that hybrid Lola that we got in these Looney Tunes shorts that she stars in? you know, when it comes to Space Jam: A New Legacy, it's going to be quite interesting to see which version of Lola we get. I'm assuming that since they got Katsushi back to voice her in the new Looney Tunes shorts, or it's basically the successor of which are again the successor of Rabbit, or the new season of the Wabbit show, it makes you wonder if perhaps that's the Lola we're going to get in Space Jam. Makes you wonder. But again, getting back on topic, are we going to see Lola in the new Looney Tune cartoons on HBOMax? Again, like I said, they already have a set of cartoons set up and ready to go. The question is, will the next set of cartoons they produce and release in the future for like a second season, will they have Lola? I think because this was a, what was it, the third season of Wabbit in the second season under the new Looney Tunes name or subtitle name or surreal name or surname. I've got a feeling that because she appeared around the third season, end of the second into the third, I would assume that the second season is of the new Looney Tune cartoons on HBO Max is when we'll get her. But again, you know, when it comes to those and it comes to Space Jam: A New Legacy, mostly Space Jam: A New Legacy, are we going to get this hybrid of Lola in both? I would assume we are. I found it funny. I found it very funny and everything, because you could tell she has the personality of both, like that competitive streak, but she also has the wacky and silliness of the Christine Wiig character from the new Looney Tunes show. So I'm hoping we get this hybrid version of Lola, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's alone in that. But again, are we going to see her in her own shorts with the new Looney Tune cartoons in the near future? And will we see her adversary? Because one thing obviously that they did is they took a character that was kind of an adversary to Bugs and made her the main adversary of Lola, and that's the character's name is Rhonda. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do there. It kind of reminds me of what Universal did along with Fox with the new Woody Woodpecker show back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and how even though you would have Woody and Winnie teamed up together in some shorts, you would have Winnie with her own shorts and everything, and it'd be similar adversaries if not different ones. And the Meanie character, what's her name? Yeah, Meanie, who's a female antagonist to Woody, became like the main antagonist to Winnie. So it's going to be really intriguing to see what they do, and so it's going to be really intriguing to see what they do with Lola when it comes to Space Jam: A New Legacy and the new Looney Tunes cartoons on HBO Max. But again, will she appear? Will she get her own shorts? I believe she will. Will we get this version of Lola that we got in the new Looney Tunes shorts on Boomerang, the successor of Rabbit? I believe we will. And I cannot wait to see I can't wait to see those happen, or that happen in the next year or so. Because again, if Lola's going to be in Space Jam, then you know she's got to be given her own little reintroduction in the new Looney Tune cartoons to help promote that. So let me know what you guys think, and let's get on to the fourth and final topic. Okay, our fourth and final topic, I did talk about this as the first topic on Friday, and on Friday evening that is, and I wanted to come back and talk about it again because I wanted to give a little bit more thought on it, and that is the PS5, the PlayStation 5. And again, I have to say that I think the PlayStation 5, you know, along with the Xbox One X, on the Xbox Series X I should say, I don't think they're going to cost as much as people think. I think they're going to cost around the price range of $350 to $450 at most. And that's basically the optical drive versions of the systems. As far as the digital version, I could see that going down by at least $25. And I could see something being along the lines of, you know, $325 and $425 when it comes to the digital version, because you're not adding an optical drive and it's mainly a streaming game system. It's basically a Steam box, if you will, as they call it, a stream box, if you will, for games that you can download via card or on the system itself, you know, on the store itself via the system. So I could see the digital edition being a little less than the physical disc edition. I could see that. Like I said, I could see that being the case. I can see it being less than the physical optical disc version. And as far as the deluxe version goes, like a bundled version, I can see a bundled version being like $375, $475. And the reason I say that, and I'm adding $25 onto each, because I feel that the more it gets accessorized, the more, or the less you take, or the more you add, the more the price range goes up. So I believe honestly that it's going to be like $375 to $475, mostly $475 when it comes to like a bundled version. I'm talking not just the console and the controller itself, but I'm talking the headsets, I'm talking the remote, I'm talking the camera and all that. That basically is what I'm saying. I think you add that all in, you're looking at $475 as a bundle. Basically, you get everything together, you add $25 on more. And I know you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, if they're adding in the remote, the headphones, and the camera, wouldn't that make it more like $500? And that might be probably the best bet as well. So I would say between $375 and $500, $375 and $500 for a bundled pack. That's what I would look at. Now, do I see it going any higher than $375 to $500 for a bundle pack? Absolutely. Because if you want, like, because you know Sony and Microsoft are going to milk these for as much as they can. And in my opinion, the ultimate pack, whichever it's going, if they call it that or whatever, I'm just going to call it the ultimate bundle, I think it's going to cost between $500 and $550. The reason I say that is because not only would you be getting the consoles, especially for the PS5, that not only would you be getting the console, the remote, the controller, the remote, the headphones, the camera, but you'd also be getting a pack-in game. And right now it looks like the leading title would be Spider-Man Miles Morales. That's the leading title, in my opinion, that'll be viewed, for Sony at least, as their pack-in game. Now, as far as, you know, Microsoft goes, I'm sure they're going to announce a digital edition of the Series X, and I can see them following suit with Sony as being like, okay, this is what it's going to cost, that's what it's going to cost, this is what it's going to cost just with the console and the controller alone, this is what it's going to cost with the accessories, if they add some accessories, and this is what it's going to cost with the game, da-da-da. So I can, basically what I'm saying is I can see multiple versions being released down the line. Like a $475 version I could see, because if it's just the console and a game like Spider-Man Miles Morales, I could see that. But if it's $500 to $525, I could see the $500 being with just the accessories and no game, along with the console and the controller. And then the $525 I could see being the most, because it would not just be the console, controller, and you know, the accessories, but it would also be the game. So I could see a lot of that. I could see a lot of that occurring for the PS4 and PS5, I should say, on launch. So do I think, so the question though is, will it outsell the Series X? There was one person that reported, one analysis, that there was one report that said an analysis feels that it will, despite the fact that from a space saving basically from a storage space perspective, that even though it's 825 gigabytes, which you can customize, which I like, and basically how that kind of pales a little bit in comparison to 1 terabyte storage space, that basically that basically because Sony presented it in a way that showed, hey, you know, the storage you can customize and everything, you know, but this is what it's going to be. This is what you're going to get. This is how the games are going to look. I think it's a great analogy. I think it's a great theory. I think it's a great prediction of what's going to occur when, you know, from a sales standpoint, especially during the holiday season, when it comes to these games, when it comes to these systems and the games that go along with them. So I definitely agree that I believe Sony will outdo it. Not saying that Microsoft won't come out and surprise us with sales on their own, but I think Sony's going to be the one that basically runs away with it during the holiday season. So honestly though, besides, like I said before, you know, besides the difference in storage space, everything else is pretty much the same. But Sony obviously is going to run away with this. And yes, again, as I've mentioned before in the last topics on my mind, I am going to get this system for the holidays. I am going to get it. There's no doubt. There's nothing that's going to stop me from getting it. You know, I'm going to try my best to save up, but I am going to get it. But yeah, the PS5, I do agree, will outsell. And I think it's because of every reason I said. And I believe we're going to get a variety of bundles that, honestly, if you look at the price range, it's going to range from $325 all the way to $525. That's just my opinion. But anyway, though, guys, that's going to do it for this Sunday evening edition of Topics on My Mind for the 14th of June. Let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. And I am out.